Welcome to another tutorial video in which I'm going to be talking about Python try except error handling. And this is a way in which to catch exceptions that you can predict that are going to occur, and so catch errors that you can foresee. So I'm going to give you a few examples of this and how why it's useful. So I'm going to define a variable called number input, and I'm going to say int raw input. So I'm expecting a string here, but then my program's going to convert it to an integer. And let's just see what happens when we run this code then without the try except. Because we're talking about errors here, it's saying enter a number, but I'm going to enter a string. Okay, so we've got an error here, it's obvious why we've got the error. We were wanting to get a number from the user, and we entered a string. So that's given us a value error. And what we can do with the try except is we can catch that error if it occurs, and do some code instead of having this error message for the user. So we can say try that, so the program's going to try and do that code and see what happens. And if it comes up against a value error, so we say except the value error, it's going to print you didn't enter a number. If we run that, then we shouldn't get this error message when we type in hello, and it should give us this custom error message instead that we've written in here. Okay, so we got you didn't enter a number being printed out, and that's much better quite obviously much better for a user to see that rather than a Python error message like with value error written there, because they're not going to know what that means, but they know exactly what that means. They need to enter a number instead of a string. Okay, so let's do another example here. So I'm going to say try, we're going to get one number from the user, I'm going to get another number from the user, and I'm going to divide the first number by the second number. And what I can anticipate might happen here is if the user enters 0 when they put in when they are asked for the second number, then it's going to give a zero division error. So it's going to give an error because the user tried to divide their first number by 0. So I can say except zero division error, and I can print out you tried to divide by 0. So let's run that code and see what happens. So ask for a number, I'm going to say 1 for my first number. Ask for a second number, now I'm going to say 0 to cause the zero division error to occur. We can see we get our error message there, you tried to divide by 0, so you can see that error message has been displayed when we've come up against a zero division error. Now there is one more thing I want to show you about try except. There's a lot of errors you can prevent from giving an error message this way, and another thing you can do is do a finally block. And what this does is it will always execute this code. So it will execute the try code. If there's an error, it will execute the except code for that error. And then, regardless of whether there's been an error or not, it will execute the finally code. So regardless of whether I have a situation like this, where I divide by 0 and I get a zero division error, my code is run here. It's also run when I don't have a zero division error. So when I divide 1 by 2, that code is still run even though I haven't had this error occur here. So that is another thing you can use finally, which will always run that code regardless of whether any error has occurred. Okay, so that's just a basic introduction into how to catch errors like value errors and zero division errors. In Python, there's loads of different errors that you can catch, such as I/O errors if you try to open a file and that file doesn't exist. for example, which that's a very useful way of using try except. And there's a variety of other errors you can catch this way as well. These are just two of them. Okay, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching.